Hey everybody, my name is Sean Healy. For those of you that don't know me, I own Dragon Koi Consulting Company. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about branding. I was talking to a studio owner just this weekend and talking about a website and developing a website for her. And you know, we got in this conversation about what a brand really is and how important a website can be. You know, it's not all about a website, but it's everything that you do. Think about it. Branding is really the psychology behind what you are as a company. I mean, who you are as a company. It's for a lot of people, they think that, you know, what they do in the studio or as an instructor or as a teacher is going to define what their brand really is. And to some extent it does, but you know, we got talking about this, and when you start looking at a brand, it's really the unconscious reality that people have when they think about you. So things like that we might not think about, things like lettering. What does your logo look like? What is the feel of your logo? Is it soft and flowy, or is it more hard and structured in nature? And you know, does that fit with the website? Does the content on the website, the pictures, the information? Does the website then fit with how you answer the phone? Does the website fit with what it feels like if I were to walk into your studio? You know, a lot of us are really good at what we do when it comes to teaching. You know, we got the technique down. We're going to be able to do great with our clients there, but the problem is that we don't really think about a lot of the time is when we're branding, we're really building trust. The reason people have a good brand or a bad brand, per se, is not because of necessarily always what they do. It can develop through trust over time. If I don't know you, if I'm coming into your studio or I'm thinking of coming into your studio and I look at your website, what is it going to make me feel? It's an unconscious thing. You know, I've talked a lot to people about moments of truth and those little things that are, you know, that happen every day. There's thousands of them, positive, negative, and neutral moments of truth, which is a whole other conversation, I guess. But those are those little things that give us a feel. You know, if you walk into a studio and there's a piece of paper on the ground, does that make me feel positive? Does it make me feel neutral and I don't really think about it? Or does it make me feel, you know, give me some negative feeling? All those things build up over time. And the people that are going to come to you and the people that are going to want to keep coming back to you are those people that have a clear understanding of what your why is, what your brand is. If you've never read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, you understand what I'm talking about when I say what your why is. I would highly recommend that. If you haven't read it at this point, it's something that I think we all need to know what our why is, because it really ultimately leads into our brand. Why do we do what we do? Not what do we do. What we do is going to be, you know, you're going to be doing Pilates, you're going to be doing yoga, you're going to be personal training. All of those things are techniques, and they're the what of what we do, right? But why we do it is why people come to us. People want to do business with people that they like. Not people that are necessarily the best at what they do. I mean, we all have seen this, where there's practitioners that maybe aren't necessarily the best at the technique, but they are packed to the gills because people like them. You know, they've developed a personality and honestly, probably a brand for people to come to. Now, whether you're just an instructor, I say just, that's, you know, one of the hardest jobs that we have. But if you're an instructor or you're a business owner, you're still developing your own brand. When it comes to a business, you have to have consistency. You have to have a flow, you know, from your website to your literature to the look of your studio. How are you designing all that stuff? I think it's all important to think about. You know, when I talked to this business owner this weekend, you know, it really became clear, and that's part of the reason I'm putting this out, is I wanted to, you know, kind of bring up the topic for people to really start to think about. You know, from her perspective, she's just sort of a one-man show and doesn't really want to go beyond that. But there's still a professionalism and a way that we have to present ourselves, I feel, from a consulting side, that allows our customers, our clients to believe in what we do. You know, some people can stay busy on their own and not have to worry about any of this stuff. And if you're in that boat, then awesome, you're lucky, it's great. From a business owner's perspective, though, I do think it is important to really understand what is the message that you're giving across. What is it that you're saying in your website? Not necessarily just with the words, but also with the actions, or also with the font that you use, with the logo that you have. Things like Pinterest and Instagram and Facebook, all of the social media that we have is really critical in building a brand. You know, it takes consistency. Brand building is not something that you do and you get lucky and it's great. It's over time. It's creating a identity for yourself. You know, it's funny, just a kind of a quick story. A few years ago, I had decided, for whatever reason, that I was going to drink a different beer a day for a year. I couldn't drink the same one. They had to be different. And to make it entertaining for myself, I thought, you know what, I'm going to post this on Facebook. I'm going to give a description of it. I'm going to, you know, tell the viewers, I guess, what I thought of the beer. And also be able to give them a little history. And honestly, what it turned into was sort of what happened during my day. You know, I mean, there's a lot of beer to be drinking in 365 days, but you know, the interesting thing that happened, and I realized this as I was going through, and really almost after the fact, was that people were paying attention. I thought, who's going to care about this, you know? But I was consistent. Every single day I placed a post on Facebook with a picture of myself. I'm sure people got sick of it. But what beer I was drinking and what I thought of it and what happened during my day. You know, and it was amazing. I was at a conference and one of my colleagues that I would have thought would have cared less about what beer I was drinking for the day came up and said, "Hey Sean, what's the beer for today?" It sort of took me back a little bit because it dawned on me at that second that, you know what, it's not just about, you know, what I'm doing, but if I'm consistent and you're putting something out there on a regular basis, people actually pay attention. They may not tell you they're paying attention, but they do. So when it comes to business and it comes to branding, you have to make sure that you're paying attention to every single thing that you're putting out. If you're on Instagram, what pictures are you putting out? Are you putting out too much? Or are you putting out too little? A lot of people put out probably too little, and it's, you know, once a week or once every, you know, 5 or 6 days, and probably not enough to really grab the interest of people. What kind of content are you putting out there? Is it personal in the sense that it gives you an identity of who you are as a studio owner? I believe partly, you know, what we want to create, particularly in the studio industry, because it's really a small industry and it's a small business for the most part. You're not this mega corporation that is going to be come at by all these different people from all these different directions. You're a studio that generally is focusing on community. And so a lot of what people look toward is you as an owner, what your belief system is, what you're about as a person, you know. So I believe that part of branding a studio also is branding yourself to some extent. It doesn't mean we want to get personal, and we probably shouldn't, but at the same time, there's a lot of content that we can put out there that merges that studio business or your Pilates or yoga or personal training business with who you are as a person. And honestly, who you are as a person is not all about the studio. So there are the personal things that we can professionally trickle in and create that brand as well. Now, from a professional perspective, from a studio perspective, we have to make sure that we have the plan. You know, a lot of people think it's putting a few things out there, doing a few ads here and a few ads there, and you all of a sudden have a brand. It doesn't happen like that necessarily. Most of the time, it's this kind of long marathon that happens. It's something that's consistent. You have to know your why. Again, you have to speak your why, and you have to do what you say you're going to do. You can't put something out there on Facebook or on Instagram or Twitter and not be really living that in the studio. You can't be putting something out on a website, and when people come in, there's a discrepancy. If there's a discrepancy, even if it's not really conscious for people, what happens is there's this degradation of their trust, unconsciously a lot of the time. And at the end of the day, for people to continue to come to you, maybe not the first time or the second time, but to continue down the road, you have to have trust. If you don't have trust with these people, eventually they will go away. Clients, any relationship is built on trust. So keep in mind, I would encourage all of you to look at your brand and look at how you're putting your brand out there. And not only what you're saying with it, but on how many different areas or different platforms are you presenting it? Have you looked at your why? Do you know what your brand is? Are we confusing branding with marketing? I mean, they cross over to some extent, right? but it's not all combined. I mean, you have to sort of separate the ideas out to some extent. So I encourage all of you to look at your brand, to think about branding for a second, aside from everything else that you're doing. What does your website look like? What does your Instagram and your Facebook feeds look like? What content are you putting out there? What do you want the reader to think about you? It's not just this unconscious throw stuff onto the web and people are going to come to you. You have to have a purpose. You have to know your why. And your why has to be represented in what you say and what you do and how you act around those things that you are advertising really with your brand. So I encourage you to look at it. Again, this was something that sort of came up over the weekend, and I thought, you know what, this is something that I think people get confused about. I talked to lots of business owners about this, and it's something that sort of gets put on the back burner when we're teaching our clients every day. You know, we don't really think about it. We think about the marketing, and I need more clients, I'm going to get it out there. But keep in mind, the reason people come to you is because they trust you, and you have to build that with a brand that they can trust. And it's about the why. It's about why you're doing what you're doing, and I think we all need to know that. So, you know, I'd love to help you. I'd love to talk to you more. Please follow me on Facebook and Instagram and the blog on our website. We'll keep putting up these videos on a regular basis. And so I'm glad to talk with you again. I hope to see you sometime soon and make contact personally. Thanks for all you guys that are following and paying attention to this. Anyway, we'll talk again next week. I'll come up with a different topic, and if you have something you want to know about or hear about or have me talk about, let me know. I'd love to get some ideas. And you guys have an awesome week, and I'll see you on the flip side. All right, take it easy.